to completely disconnect the computer from the internet. It's called outnet. The husband doesn't want to do it, and they have a major marital fights over this. What should they do? How many questions do we get on these types of topics? Okay, what if he wants to eat pork? It's actually a lot less serious than unfiltered internet. Pork doesn't even come to the beginnings of the sin that's internet. Okay, now we have to know how to do everything with peace. But there's no question what we need to do. You have to save your house. There's no question. We all know what happens with internet in the house. There's no question. Like, say to yourself, like, okay, my husband wants to eat on Yom Kippur. There's no sin in the whole world that is not unfiltered internet is the biggest sin there is. There's no sin in the world that comes close to it. She has to understand. He's addicted to the internet, and he has a lust. He wants the internet. That's what he wants. But there's nothing to do. He's not going to be able to get off of it. So now what do we need to do? She has to pray every single day that her husband should repent. Every single day. She has to do the law of thank you. She has to pray that he will stop going to these dangerous places, these filthy, impure places. She has to pray that he'll start reading the books, especially the Garden of Peace. Pray very, very hard that the husband should learn the Garden of Peace. If she understood that this sin was worse than every other sin there is, she's going to say, that's it. I'm going to tear the heavens up with my prayers. Rav Elitzor is reminding us of an amazing story that a Rav told some weeks ago about a man who said, that's it. I want the internet. He even left the house, ran out of the house with the computer. And she came to a Rav, broken. Rav said, do the law of thank you. She did it every day. Within a week, he was back home without the computer, thank God. Okay, so someone asked from not here in Israel, from outside, probably from America. She says, Rav keeps saying, "Ein Rabbi Olam." There's no bad in the world, but there's things in the world that look bad. How do we deal with this? This is such an important question. I want to answer this with this woman. There's a lot of things that were awful that happened. It just seems, even if you look at the Torah, let's say only all sorts of bad things are happening. You say there's no bad in the world, but look around us. We have Esav, the evil Esav. And we see with our own eyes what we see. Okay, now I need you to separate and make a distinction between the fact that there's bad and evil in the world and the person who believes. As I wrote in the Garden of Emuna. You have to make a separation. You believe? So then for that person, you don't have any bad in the world. Because there is divine providence, divine guidance. Right, what are we always learning in our exercises? No one can do anything good for you. And no one can do bad for you. If not by the decree of God. Right, we're doing coaching. Emuna coaching. Remember, first, Hashem loves you. He wants you to have only good. Now, for someone who has emuna, no bad can happen to you. Because Hashem loves you, and Hashem only will do good for you. So it seems like a contradiction, but sometimes... But someone who meaning it looks like a contradiction in terms, but really, someone who believes will never have any bad happen to him in this world. Right, how do I always singing? Emuna or Gehenim. Right, if you don't have emuna, then you live in Gehenim, you live in hell. I'm singing this all the time. Because someone who goes in the way of truth, in the way of Torah. That's it. Now you, personally, that person has divine providence, has divine guidance, has divine protection. Anything you do go through is from Hashem who loves you, is doing only good for you. Eternal good for you. I wrote this at length in the Garden of Emuna. You understood? There is bad, but it can't touch you. Because you're going on the right path. You're protected. Smile.
מי שלדוגמה, אני פשוט שאלה שמתבקשת עכשיו, אדם שהוא עובד על אמונה, אבל בפועל הוא לא מאמין בשלמות.
Okay, so now we have Rabbi Arush is saying, hey, I have to ask this question. Wait a minute. What if you're working on your emuna, but you haven't gotten there, you're not perfect in it? Meaning, like, do you get protection if you're trying, or only if you're like perfect in it, in this reality that there's nothing bad? In every test, in every situation in your life, every second of your life, he has to know: am I going in the way of emuna, or am I not going with emuna? If you're going in the way of emuna and you're following the rules of emuna, so you have a lot to smile about. You're gonna receive so much. It's really worth it to you to learn emuna, to strengthen yourself in emuna. I keep saying, if you just listen to the exercises, you're gonna have all your questions answers. Listen to the exercises, work on the exercises, slowly. You're gonna have your key to heaven on earth, to paradise in this earth, already in this world. So now here's an interesting Corona question. They're discussing back and forth. Should the man go to the mikvah during Corona time? Is it? What do we do? The husband and wife are fighting whether he should go or not. Now listen, anytime you have an obstacle to serving Hashem, maybe the father says to the child, maybe the spouse says to the wife says to the husband, or the reverse. Obstacles. The obstacles are there to go test your desire. Well, is it going to bother you or is it going to help you? Right, so for instance, when Uman was closed, way back when, you could only go to Uman with some sort of foreign passport, not with an Israeli passport. Who had ever heard of Uman back then? I was among the first people to travel there.
יש לי מפקד בבית. נראה אם המפקד ייתן ויזה, נקבל ויזה מהמפקד.
So some Breslovers came to Rav and said, hey, you want to come? We're going to try to come. So Rav is joking. He says, I have a sergeant at home, and I had to come and see, could I get permission from the sergeant?
פלוני אמר לי, שמע, אנחנו 9 צריכים 10 לנסוע לאומן וזה, מה את אומרת? בטח לא, מה זה לא שעות ניסה, צריכים לעזור לך וזה. תדע, אם תקע את הבן, אני אתן לך גם כל החסרון שחסרתי, שתקנו לי משהו. רק אם תקע את הבן, מאמת עליי. רק אם תקע את הבן, אני אתן לך את כל הכסף. זה נקרא, קיבלתי מהקונסול, אנשים גם שביזה לי ולבן. וגם כסף. וגם כסף לסיום. אין, לא רוצה משהו, אם אדם יש לו מניעות, פושו שעשה לא לעשות.
So in the end, it's the end all and be all. Rav not only was able to go, but he even got money for going. All the obstacles are there to test your desire. How much do you want it?
גם אוי ואבש יודעים לנו. שכל הדברים אדם רוצה, אתה רואה שלך מעל המקווה, לך תעשה את התבוננות.
Do you really want to go to the mikvah? Go! Start praying about it. If it's important to you. So good. They're joking. Maybe you'll get money for going to the mikvah too.
שהיו לו בעיות קשות של רדיפה עצמית והוא לוקח מינון נמוך של כדורים כנראה פסיכיאטרי והוא מרגיש שהספרים באמת זה מה שעוזר לו והוא רוצה להתחיל להפחית מהכדורים איך עושים
So now here we have someone who started to read Rabbi Arush's books. He loves the books. He found them strengthen him very much. He takes medicine, psychiatric medicine, and he wants now to try to get rid of the psychiatric medicine. He's not sure how to do it. Now, Rav is reminding us, it's a big mistake just be like, okay, that's it, I can just go, I trust myself, I'm good enough, everything's okay by me. Try dropping down slowly. Maybe you can take like 1/4 of a pill less. Try it for a few weeks. Slowly, slowly.
אני אומר לו, שזה בשני הדברים, גם התייעצות וגם לאט לאט. אין כמו...
Slowly, slowly, and also you have to have advice. You have to have your psychiatrist see that you're stable and say it's okay.
ממש לאט לאט איטית, אז לא עושה זה, סוגים, זהו.
Right, because you can't just like throw it away quickly.
אז לכן, זהו, זה היה.
השם יציל אותנו, השם יציל את כל ישראל, ברכה, אותנו גם טוב. בעזרת השם, אז יש פה שאלה מאוד מעניינת, מישהו ששואל, הוא אומר, רבנו בתורה רשפ"ב, הוא מדבר על עניין של למצוא נקודה טובה ב...
Now, one of the most famous teachings of Rabbi Nachman, to find the good points.
כן, אז הוא מספר שיש לו חבר שהוא לומד איתו ביחד, ככה הוא כותב, מישהו ששנים מכיר אותו טוב, ולומד איתו, ולאט לאט הוא רואה, הבן אדם הזה ככה הוא כותב פה, הוא רואה שהוא יורד מהדרך עד שהוא נהיה רשע גמור. שאין לו עכשיו שום טוב, ככה הוא כותב.
Okay, so this person is asking a question. He says, I have a good friend, and unfortunately in time, he has fallen from the good true path until he's really become what the person is calling a Rasha Gomor, a complete evil person. Right, so he says, how do I find a good point in it? Because right now he's completely not in the right place.
יכול להיות שהוא עשה טוב מיד, אבל אני שאלתי מה. הוא עשה לפני 60 שנה. אני אתן דוגמה, לפני 60 שנה, הנה, היו לו תפילין. ב5 דקות.
Okay, so let me give you an example, right? Someone says, oh, he's a complete evil person. I asked the mother, did he ever put on tefillin once? She says, yes, like maybe 60 years ago.
אין כזה בן אדם, אבל נגיד שיש בן אדם כזה.
Let's just say that there was such a thing.
גם החבר הזה שהוא מדבר עליו, אם יבוא יגיד לו, שמע, אין למישהו לאכול, זהו. כמה שהוא חושב שהוא יעזור וייתן וכו' וכו'. אבל נניח שהוא באמת בן אדם, נגיד, בואו נמציא כזה בן אדם.
Right, let's make it like more extreme.
שהוא לפני 60 שנה, פעם אחת...
Let's just use an example, right? 60 years ago, one time put on tefillin for 5 minutes.
בא רבנו כותב,
Rabbi Nachman writes,
זהו, הקעת את המצווה הזאת, מצווה הבאה.
you should take this mitzvah, you fulfilled this commandment, and you should be happy with it and dancing just over this one thing you did for 5 minutes for the rest of your life.
וזהו, מעלה אותו כזכות.
And through that, you can judge him favorably.
לפני 60 שנה עשה.
Even though that 60 years ago, he put on tefillin for 5 minutes. He did something small for 60 years ago.
אז באמת, זה טוב, השאלה הזאת חשובה ביותר.
So he said it's a very, very important question that this person's asking.
לא מבינים בכלל את העניין הזה של מצווה.
Because we have no idea what is this mitzvah. What is this thing called a mitzvah?
שהוא מתחבר עם הבורא.
It's literally connection. You're literally... It's literally connecting to Hashem. Let's say you spoke to God for 5 minutes. No one can take away that connection that you created with Creator. There's no such thing that can ever destroy that connection you created. That's it.
שזה אדם אפילו כתוב בכחובאון, שאדם כדאי לאדם לבוא לעולם הזה, להיות 120 שנה, לעבור כל העבוד שבעולם, פעם אחת במשך כל החיים שלא נתן לי ידיים.
Wow. Rabbi Nachman writes, it's worth it to come into this world and go through everything you're going to go through 120 years, that one time you washed your hands properly after you woke up in the morning.
ופה עבר ייסורים כל ה-120 שנה.
Right, and you went through suffering, and you went through everything you went through.
שיעבור גיהנום, מה שקורה. שבסוף יקבל שכר על פעם אחת מנתינת ידיים.
Right, and you're gonna have to go into Gehenna, you're gonna have to go and get cleaned in hell. But that eventually you're gonna receive your reward for the fact that one time, you washed your hands properly. After you woke up, it's called Netilat Yadayim. You switch back and forth. That's it. You connected to the Creator of the world. You did something eternal. So go search all the good things that this person did. Doesn't matter where he's holding right now.
ותחברתם בבורא, בורא זה קיים.
That's it. If you ever connected to the greater once, it still exists. It's still something that can't be taken away from you.
אז מה פירושו?
So what does this mean?
פירושו שהוא לא עמלק. עמלק זה גרע גמור.
Right? And what it means is that this friend of yours, he's not Amalek. Absolute evil is Amalek. There's no good in it.
שמה אלוקית,
Once you have a holy soul, once you have a holy godly soul,
התחברת פעם בבורא,
wow, you connected once to Creator,
שמה אלוקית,
you have a godly soul.
ברגע שאני מאמין בו, שיש לו שמה אלוקית,
Once I believe in that person, that you have a godly soul,
כך הוא אומר, כך זכות,
and I judge him favorably, and I see the good in him,
דאג אותו אבסולוט, מוציא אותו באמת, אבסולוט.
I can literally change him to literally be judged to the side of, to be judged favorably in heaven.
יש לנו חנוכה שמח, לקבל את החור של חנוכה,
This is the light of Hanukkah.
את הקאוצ'ין שלנו איתכם, תעשו, תזכרו 10 דקות, 2 דקות, תתפלל, אם אני נותן לי אמונה שאתה אוהב,
Remember,
2 דקות,
2 minutes to pray Hashem that you love me. 2 minutes to believe that Hashem ain't no there's only Hashem in the world.
להגיע לכל דבר. 2 דקות,
2
דקה, לקבל כל מה שאני נקשר, הכל לקבל את זה באמונה,
2 minutes to believe that in the future I can pray about anything,
בגלל שלא התפללתי מספיק,
and if I didn't do it enough, if I didn't succeed, it's because I didn't pray enough.
אמרנו, ובערב השעה, אמרנו, לעשות עבודה.
Right, so 2 minutes, 2 more minutes to believe that if I'll just pray enough, I can achieve anything. That's my free choice for the future. And if I failed in the past, then it means another 2 minutes to say, if I failed in the past, then it means that I didn't pray enough. And now 15 minutes to pray on one thing.